Hello everybody and welcome back to my Let's Play of Star Trek 25th Anniversary. We're still on the Arc 7 research station trying to find out, knowing that the Romulans have taken it because of a virus that is accidentally developed here and thinking it's a act of treason by the Federation against them. So we're trying now to find out more about the virus and resolve the situation. Now we got some insulation here. Looks like wires.
Wiring repair jobs sometimes make a mess. This insulation was left over from someone who thought their repair is good enough.
Now we need to distill it because we can make it into
Nothing happens.
a laughing gas for...
Distilled a quantity of polyberyl carbonate.
That's a mouthful. That is actually pretty... It needs to be... It can make a laughing... like a laughing gas for Romulans and Vulcans.
Gas feed is on.
Now we could go in... Get some water.
The machine synthesizes a liter of pure water.
A clean drink of water, but I don't see its application in the context of our difficulties, Captain.
Who knows when water could be useful.
You take a 1-liter container of pure water.
Now if I remember correctly, what I do is I take the polycarbonate, put it in there. Synthesize it.
The machine synthesizes 1 liter of TLTDH gas.
An unusual compound, Captain. It can induce laughter and feelings of exhilaration in some, much the way nitrous oxide affects humans.
It doesn't affect Vulcans, of course.
Actually, Doctor, both Romulans and Vulcans suffer its effects.
Why, that's just dandy. Vulcan laughing gas.
Please, Doctor, this is not a laughing matter.
You could actually release it, and also you could create nitrous oxide in there, and it just makes some weird lines and stuff. I haven't really...
You take a 1-liter container.
It doesn't it takes a... It's very random, and it doesn't happen that often, so it'll just take a lot of time to see it.
Gas feed is off.
Now, we need to make something else. There's only one other... Besides nitrous oxide, which doesn't really have much use in this. But they also mention ammonia, and if I remember correctly, we need to take off the O2 tank.
You attach the anti-grav unit to the gas tank. It can be moved freely.
And then add the nitrogen tank.
You install the gas tank to the synthesizer's feed lines. Gas feed is on.
Okay, now if we use that, what do we get?
The machine synthesizes a liter of ammonia.
I hope you don't want me to swap the deck with that, Captain.
I think we can set this aside and not worry about it.
This is the door to the synthesis.
In principle, Captain, this device is quite simple. When this chamber is empty and gas tanks are attached, it will combine the gases to make new compounds. If chemicals are placed in the chamber, the machine will combine them with the gases to create new materials.
Next, he'll tell us the DNA molecule is simple.
Compared to many molecular models, it is, Doctor.
I rest my case.
Ammonia is a good antibacterial,
You take a 1-liter container of ammonia.
So maybe we could use that for something down there, out there.
There's nothing there requiring... There's nothing there
Well, I
requiring...
can't have him do anything, but put in the fire sample. Then attach pneumonia up there. McCoy uses the controls.
Eureka, this is it, Jim. There's not much, but all I need to do is synthesize some more, and we're in business.
There is a single viral culture dish in here, and it contains a sample of the Ouroboros cure.
It's kind of interesting that they were like working on, and they haven't found a cure yet, but
You retrieve the
McCoy finds it
Ouroboros cure
instantly.
sample.
Well, I guess he's a miracle doctor or something. So now we could just use the synthesizer to create more of them. Now we have a hypo spray.
You take the hypo with Ouroboros toxin cure. This is Dr. McCoy's cure for the Ouroboros toxin in a hypo.
So let's use it on Spock.
There, you're now cured.
Thank you, Doctor.
Finally, a human response.
Raises an eyebrow.
He's been cured of the Ouroboros virus.
I'm going to do something here. It's not really necessary yet, but I want to prepare for something later on.
Gas feed is off. Nothing happens. You attach the anti-grav unit to the gas tank. It can be moved freely.
Attaching back the oxygen.
You install the gas tank to the synthesizer's feed lines. Gas feed is on.
Okay, now we still have the problem of getting down to the lower deck, and that's where most of the Romulans are. So we can't fight them because they had the advantage. They could actually have full advantage of the ladder or anything. So
I don't suppose you'd enjoy the psychological release of a few good belly laughs, Spock. We could open the canister right here if you like.
I would strongly recommend against it, Doctor.
This is a screen and filter for the ventilation shaft.
Dr. McCoy's comments there are basically, it's kind of for basically a hint of what you're supposed to do here.
The vent is now open. It leads to the lower deck. This is a vent shaft that leads to the lower level.
So what we need to do is release the TLTDH gas down into the vent.
With a hiss, the Romulan laughing gas billows down the vent. You hear the muffled sounds through the vent of hearty Romulan laughter, followed by the dull thud of bodies hitting the deck.
They sound like Klingons.
Jim, we've got to help these men before they die.
Let's look at them first.
These Romulans are totally out of it.
Totally.
This is the Ark-7's crew quarters. There are only Romulans here.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
First time for what?
Being surrounded by Romulans and not at gunpoint.
I have been in more comfortable situations, Captain.
I know, Mr. Spock, but we'll get through this.
These Romulans appear to be a negligible threat, sir.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a diplomat. I've got to try to save these men.
The Romulans stir weakly, then begin to get up. They've all been cured.
They're severely dehydrated, but they'll live. We got to them in time.
Let's get them some water then.
The Romulans drink thirstily and empty the container.
Take it easy now. You'll feel better in a few minutes. Good thing we had the water available, Jim.
We aren't barbarians, in spite of what some people think.
This Romulan is groggy, but conscious. This Romulan is groggy.
They'll be fine now, Jim. They just need some rest.
Now, because we used the water, I'm going back up the ladder and get some more water synthesized.
The machine synthesizes a liter of pure water.
A clean drink of water, but I don't see a...
You already said that before.
You take a 1 liter container of pure water.
So let's go into this restricted area.
An odd-looking device, almost like a 20th century torpedo fitted with an experimental gear.
My God, that's some kind of weapon.
Everyone on this project is an avowed pacifist, Doctor, myself included. We do not make weapons.
Dr. Anthony Cheever, Marcus's assistant. He has been bound by the Romulans.
Hey, does anyone in Starfleet know how to untie a knot?
I do. You just pull on the ropes until they're untied.
I don't care who does it, but could somebody get around to doing it on this star date?
Dr. Carol Marcus, head of this station's research team.
How about someone giving us a hand? Thank God it's you, Jim. I'm so glad you came.
Mr. Spock is fascinated by these machines. This is a very advanced research laboratory. Dr. McCoy is viewing this scene with interest. Ensign Ferris is wondering when they're going to give him a tough assignment for a change.
That means you'll
James
die.
T. Kirk, glad to see Carol Marcus again, yet slightly uncomfortable. This Romulan commander is unconscious.
Well, let's... First of all, I want to do this real quick.
Fascinating. This device contains over 10 million forms of life. Patterns I have never seen before.
We call this the cradle, Mr. Spock. One day I hope something wonderful would be produced here.
This is another foreshadowing to, well, something kind of pointing to Star Trek II. That is like the early model of the Genesis device. Secure Romulan Prefect.
The Romulan Preax stirs weakly, then begins to get up. He has been cured.
He's severely dehydrated, but he'll live.
Getting some water, then I'll talk to everyone.
The Romulan Preax drinks thirstily and empties the container.
Take it easy now. You'll feel better in a few minutes. Good thing we had the water available, Jim.
We aren't barbarians, in spite of what some might think.
It's about time someone got here.
Thank you for saving our station, Jim.
Hello, Carol. It's good to see you again.
There was a time when I wouldn't have agreed with that statement. But I guess some things do get better with age.
You always could put me in my place, couldn't you?
That's the one thing I could never do. Your place was wandering the galaxy, and that's the one thing I could never give you.
Fascinating equipment. I believe I have seen this sort of equipment someplace before.
We're testing the effect of radiation on combinations of simple and complex molecules. We're trying to see what new forms of life are developed and how they compare to our own early development.
Fascinating.
Guess Bones doesn't have anything to say.
These Romulans appear to be a negligible threat, sir.
I have called off the Romulan attack on this station, Kirk. I believed your virus was some kind of deliberate attack, but your great honor and compassion have convinced me otherwise.
You also conducted yourself in the most honorable fashion, Centurion Preax. You may return to Romulan space without Federation interference. I assure you, the Federation would never undertake such a foul program. It was all an accident, right, Dr. Marcus? Save it for someone who's buying, Preax. Leave Federation space immediately or we'll scatter your atoms across the quadrant. You also conducted yourself in the most honorable fashion, Centurion Preax. You may return to Romulan space without Federation interference.
You are an honorable adversary, Kirk. Jolon true.
You are also a worthy opponent, Preax. May you live long and prosper.
Raises an eyebrow.
You'll never cease to amaze me, Jim.
Goodbye, Carol.
Goodbye, Jim.
Well, gentlemen, let's go home.
Message from Starfleet.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have read your report on the problems at Arc 7 and evaluate your performance at 100%.
Yay.
You and your crew received 4 commendation points. A perfect mission, Jim. You are a model for all Starfleet.
I wonder if I'll see Carol again.
Well, if you don't, you can always drown your sorrow in some Romulan ale.
That's illegal, Bones.
Tell that to the Romulans, Jim. I found a whole case they brought on board the Arc 7.
It'll never replace Scotch, Captain.
That it won't, Mr. Scott.
Scotty got another line. So we finish up one there.
Another fine mess.
Priority message from Starfleet.
On screen, Lieutenant.
We have reports of an undetermined number of Velocity pirate ships in your sector. You are ordered to proceed to the Harlequin star system immediately and investigate. Starfleet out.
Okay, this has gone on a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm going to call it a Let's Play here. So, I will end this video here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.